G'day, it's Peter here, and this is the second video. And bit of riding in wet weather today. It's not actually raining where I was riding here, but it had rained earlier, so the road's pretty wet. Very slippery section up ahead here, and shiny bits of road which you've really got to be careful of, especially with a bike that's got a bit of power. You don't want to throttle on too much, and I like to tuck it in nice and hard left here in those sorts of corners, so I've got the opportunity to use all the bitumen. I'm trying to keep it on the dry part of the road there, and not accelerate too much, and be smooth. That's a good thing there. But you see on this corner here, it comes up and it's pretty shiny, and it tends to get worse here. The road tends to get very shiny up here, and there's no shame in going slow, and you've really got nowhere to run off here. If you get in that grass there, you're probably going to drop the bike. About here I always know that that this road starts to get easier from here on, and so still keep the speed down, and the road will start to open up a little bit in a sec. So there we go, it's opened up a bit and back to 80 k's there. And, still got to watch it here, not really get up any higher than about 80. I think it's about 80 or 90, that's what the speed limit is down here, I think. And pretty important that you keep the speed down in this sort of environment, because there's a lot of farms around, and dogs and cattle and that sort of thing, and you need to be able to do an emergency brake if someone jumps out on the road. So just see the speed limit here. Yeah, 80k is okay. So yeah, I was doing about 80 there. And, you wouldn't want to do any faster. In fact, in these conditions, probably could have gone a little slower. There's a push bike up here that he's doing about, I think he must be doing about 50 at least, this guy. It's hard to overtake him. Anyway, he's going for it. And later on in this video, there's a situation that happens, a traffic situation. I won't say what it is, but I'll let you know when it's coming up, and you can see if you can spot it. And, yeah, it could have been a really bad accident. And but one of the things that I'm very fussy about is maintaining the proper following distance from a car, and I'm looking in my mirrors all the time to make sure that no one's following me very closely, because if I need to do an emergency brake, I need to know that I can do it, so I don't want anybody sitting too close to me. So I'm coming up on this vehicle now. This is about as close as I'm going to get. I might get a little bit closer because it comes to an intersection. So, but at this speed, that's about as close as I'd want to get. And he's turning now, so I can close the distance a little bit as my speed reduces. And this is the turn off from Tooting to Castlemaine. There's a couple of cars on the right here. There's anything on the left. Where I go there. Gradual power there, because with a lot of power there, and the rain, very easy to slip there. So I don't like going anywhere near the limits of the tyres. I think you're not riding too well if you do that. It's just a gamble then whether you're going to come off or not. So alright, some of the riding techniques I use just for riding on this road here is when you get oncoming traffic, see there I can't see where the traffic is, so I stick to the left. So if there had been a car on the right hand side there on the other side of the road, I wouldn't be surprised by it, especially if it was on the other side of the road. And that sort of thing can happen, it does happen, and that's where riders get caught out. They expect everybody's going to be obeying the rules, and quite frequently people don't. So like here, I just stick to the left a bit, give myself as much room as possible there. Coming down to a 40k zone, make sure we're doing the 40 there. And yeah, working hard over there, I see. Yeah, working harder than me anyway. And yeah, so sticking on the left there a bit. Now, I wouldn't be sticking on the left there if there was cars following up close to me, because it's an invitation for them to overtake you. That's what they think anyway. So I won't do that. I think pretty close to now I start to get followed by a car, and so then I start to use all my lane to make sure that they don't try and sneak by, and they'll treat you like a push bike and try and sneak by, and if you don't know they're doing it and you move back in your lane, you can get hit. So you got to be probably more aware of what's behind you than what's in front of you, because what's in front of you is pretty easy to see, but what's behind you, you don't always see what they're doing there. You get cars and motorbikes coming up fast behind you, so you need to know that. So alright, not much is happening at the moment, and that's a good thing. And sticking on about 50 k's, I think it is, around about here. Castlemaine's a nice place to go to. I always find it relaxing to ride to Castlemaine. And it's a good day there with this sort of weather. Even though it's a little wet, it's very easy to see. You haven't got the glare on the road. It's very easy to see what's going on. And one of the things I do is when there's oncoming traffic and there's intersections around, which quite frequently there is, I try and make it so that I don't arrive at the intersection at the same time as the oncoming cars. And I do that because sometimes I'll try and turn in front of you. And so I'm looking at to time things, like there I arrive at the intersection a little bit before the truck, so there's no way that truck could turn in front of me. And that's just seems to be an instinctive thing that happens now. I used to have to think about it once, but I don't anymore. So I can see, I'm watching them to make sure they're not slowing down, because that's a sign that they're going to turn. And like here, that's a bit of a problem there. The white car almost was there, but he wasn't slowing down and didn't have his blinker on. So not so much of a problem there. Always watching that, watching the mirrors constantly. It never ends. There's much more work going on than what most people do in a car, because you don't have the opportunity of making a mistake. A lot of people drive thinking that that's, well, if they have an accident, they have an accident, not too worried about it. Whereas on the motorbike, you're going to be messed up pretty good. In the amount of time that I've been riding, I've broken a collarbone, I've come off in the mud, really low speed. I lost the front wheel because I lost the front wheel, it did a front wheel slide because I was going too slow in the mud, and but I had to go slow because it was pretty dangerous if I didn't, but I just couldn't hold the thing up. And it was a Suzuki GSX 750. It had a 16-inch front wheel, and this bike's got a 16-inch front wheel too, so probably wouldn't be much good in the mud. So I probably wouldn't take it. I'd probably only take it on dirt roads and bitumen and maybe a little bit of mud, but not too much. So yeah, Always looking behind, looking to see nothing's in the left lane, indicating to turn right here, and this will head back towards Bendigo. Now, one of these cars that'll be in front of me in a moment is a car that causes a potential traffic problem, and if I had been in the wrong spot, it would have wiped me out, and it wouldn't have been hard to be in the wrong spot. So I just do a head check again and move to the right lane. There's a van up ahead on the left there that's about to come out behind that truck. So that's one of the reasons I moved, to make it easier for him to get out. And take off, let it out accelerate me, like I said in video 1. Important to do that. If you're sort of coming up behind it and then you've got to grab a handful of brake because he's done an emergency brake, you'll be through his back window. So let that trailing distance go out to about 3 or 4 seconds. Now that car's moved to the left lane, I'll do a head check, I'll move into the left too. Maintain trailing distance, so that's a good trailing distance there. Gives me enough of a room if something happens. Now, if I hadn't have moved to the left lane, something up ahead here would have wiped me out if I had been in the right lane. So just have a look what happens here. It actually surprised me, but I was sort of glad that it happened because it's an example of you can never be too paranoid about riding on the road. And so have a look at that car that's in the same lane that I am, and it's a fair way ahead, but just keep watching what happens with it and you'll see what the problem would be. Just imagine that I was in the right lane and I was maybe want to overtake that car. Alright, I'll wait for it. The lights I think are going on now, I'm not sure. Yeah, there the lights go on there, and look what happens there. It just cuts right across the right lane. So now that doesn't look that bad on video, but I can tell you it looked pretty bad from where I was. Being in the left lane, I was really glad I was there, but I could just imagine if there was a motorbike rider coming up on the right there, he would have definitely got wiped out because it would have been so surprising. There wouldn't have been many places you could go. So be aware that in city traffic and at city speeds, people have only got to dab their brakes on the brakes for like half a second and they've lost 10 to 20 kilometers per hour and gone from 60 to 40, and at 40 kilometers per hour they can practically turn into any street that's around, and if you're near them they've just turned into you. So that's something to be aware of in city traffic. At speeds like this at the moment, where I'm travelling at probably 80 k's here, a lot harder for traffic to surprise you and suddenly move into your lane, although it can happen. So stay away from it. Maintain correct trailing distance. Can't emphasise that enough. This is a good trailing distance for me from that car ahead. Probably more than 4 seconds, but I'm quite happy with being at more than 4 seconds. And even when I ride with another motorbike, I keep that sort of trailing distance too. And that way, he doesn't have to keep looking in his mirrors to see that I'm not running up behind him. And I don't have to worry about if he suddenly brakes, that I'm going to be caught out. So, and you still see where he's going. You don't have to be riding really close to somebody when you're going on a trip together. It's way better to be at this distance. So that's about it. Getting close to being the end of this video now, and I didn't go out looking for a problem, but I found one with that car that turned from the left hand lane in straight across the right lane and up the side street. So something to be aware of. Okay, I'll catch you later. Bye.